Hi dear friends, how are you all? Welcome to our YouTube channel HR Tutorials India. In this video, we will be discussing types of interviews. Types of interviews. Depending upon the requirements, situations, locations and time, the interviews are broadly classified into 10 different categories. Recruiters should be knowledgeable enough to understand which type of interview should be used when. In an organization, depending upon the different types of requirements, locations, situations and time, interviews are broadly classified into 10 different categories. And it is the responsibility of the recruiter or the interviewer to select the right type of interview which should be used at right time. Hence, the recruiter or interviewer should be enough knowledgeable to handle the interviews. The 10 different types of interviews are as follows. Types of interviews. Structured interview. In this type, the interview is designed and detailed in advance. A structured interview is pre-planned, accurate and consistent in hiring the candidates. The first type of interview is called as the structured interview. The name itself says that the interview is well structured and detailed in advance. A structured interview is very accurate and consistent because it's a pre-planned type of interview which will help the candidates to hire consistently without any errors. Unstructured interview. This type of interview is an unplanned one where the interview questionnaire is not prepared. Hence, the effectiveness of the interview is very less and there is a tremendous waste of time and effort of both the interviewer and the interviewee. The second type of interview is unstructured interview. The name itself says that the interview is not structured or not planned, where the interview questionnaire is not prepared properly, because of which the effectiveness of the interview is very less and there is a wastage of time and effort of both the interviewer and the interviewee. So it is better to avoid an unstructured interview. Group interview. In this type of interview, all the candidates or the group of candidates are interviewed together. Group interviews are conducted to save time where there is a large number of applicants for a few job vacancies. A topic will be given to discuss among the candidates and the interviewer judges the innovativeness and behavior of each candidate in the group. The third type of interview is called as the group interview. The name itself represents that this type of interview is conducted in groups. The group interview is conducted when a large number of applicants apply for a few job vacancies. Because to conduct interview with each candidate is very difficult and time consuming. So a group interview will give the results in a short span because an interview is conducted in groups all together at a time. In this group interview, a topic will be given to all the candidates in the group to discuss and chance will be given to give their opinions about the topic. This will give a clear picture for the interview to judge the innovativeness and behavior of each candidate in the group for selecting the right candidate for the vacant position. Depth interview. Depth interview is a semi-structured interview where the candidates have to give a detailed information about their education background, work experience, special interest, etc. And the interviewer takes the depth interview and tries in finding the expertise of the candidate. The fourth type of interview is called the depth interview. The name itself says that the interview is in depth. It is a semi-structured interview which is in between the structured and unstructured interview, where the candidates are asked to give a detailed information about their work experiences, special interests and educational background. This will help the interview to know more about the candidates, and by conducting these depth interviews, it is easy for the interviewer to understand and find the expertise of the candidate for the vacant position in the organization. Stress interview. Stress interviews are conducted to discover how a candidate behaves in stressful conditions. In this type of interview, the interviewer will come to know whether the candidate can handle the demands of a complex job. The candidate who maintains his composure during a stress interview is normally the right person to handle a stressful job. Stress interview is the type of interview which is conducted by the interviewer for discovering the stressful conditions of the candidate, because there are few job opportunities where the candidate should undergo the stress and the complexities of the job. Hence, a stressful interview will help the interviewer to know the capabilities and strengths of the candidate whether the candidate can handle their job in stressful conditions or not. By conducting this interview, it is easy for the interviewer to select the right candidate for the stressful job. Individual interview. In an individual interview, the interview takes place one-to-one, that is, there will be a verbal and a visual interaction between two people, an interviewer and the candidate. This is a two-way communication interview which helps in finding the right candidate for the vacant position. Individual interview can also be called as face-to-face interview, where the one-to-one interaction takes place between the interviewer and the candidate. In this individual interview, verbal and visual interaction happens between two people, that is, interviewer and the candidate. This individual interview, that is by having a two-way communication interview, will help the process of interviewing the candidate and selecting the right candidate for the vacant job position. Informal interview. Such interviews are conducted in an informal way, that is, the interview will be fixed without any written communication and can be arranged at any place. There is no procedure of asking questions in this type of interview, hence it will be friendly kind of interview. The name itself says that the interview is informal, which means the interviews are not conducted in a formal way. In this type of interview, the interview is conducted without any written communication and can be arranged at any place at any time. And there is no proper procedure to ask questions in this type of interview. Hence, this interview is also called as friendly interview, as the interaction in this type of interview is friendly. Formal interview. A formal interview held in a formal way. That is, the candidate will be intimated about the interview well in advance and the interviewer plans and prepares questions for the interview. This is called as a planned interview. Formal interview can also be called as a planned interview because in this interview, the questions are prepared well in advance in a proper way. By following this kind of formal interview, it helps the interviewer to plan the interview in a proper way, and the result of this interview will be 100% effective. Panel interview. Panel interview, as the name indicates, is being conducted by a group of people. In this type of interview, 3 or 5 members of the selection committee will be asking questions to the candidates on different aspects. The final decision will be taken by all the members of the panel collectively. In this panel interview, a group of people together ask questions to the candidate. In this type of interview, approximately 3 to 5 members form a committee and will be posing questions to the candidates on different aspects. And after interviewing the candidate, a final decision will be taken by all the members of the panel collectively. Exit interview. Exit interviews are conducted for those employees who want to leave the organization. The importance of the exit interview is to discover why an employee wants to leave the job. Final and last interview is the exit interview. Exit interview, the name itself says that this type of interview is conducted when an employee wants to leave the organization. The importance of this exit interview is to know and discover why an employee wants to leave the job. This interview helps in knowing the reasons and the problems or issues which the candidate or the employee is facing in the company with respect to his job or boss. And by knowing these issues or queries, it will help the organization to identify the issues and solve the same, which will help the other employees. And by conducting exit interviews will help in maintaining the employee retention rate. So dear friends, in this video we have discussed different types of interviews. If you like this video, please subscribe and share among your friends. Thank you very much for watching this video. Have a nice day.